Your primary analysis found the vaccine was now 94.1% effective. You're requesting emergency authorization. You say you can get the vaccine out in like 24 hours. What do the 24 hours look like?
Yeah, so basically, thank you for having me. So today is an important day. 2 weeks ago, we had the interim analysis of the phase 3. Today, we are announcing the final analysis, 94% efficacy. But the piece that's almost most important for me is the severe cases. We had 30 severe cases. All were on placebo. 0 were with people who got our vaccine. And when you think about what has happened in terms of severe cases leading to hospitalization, leading to ICU, leading to death, this is really, I think, a big moment in the fight against this pandemic. So I think that our goal is to get the vaccine approved in the coming weeks. We're filing today to the FDA, but also in Europe, in the UK, Canada, and many other countries, hoping to get approval in the next few weeks. In the US, for example, the FDA has informed us that they are likely to have on December 17 the advisory committee to the FDA, and then I will expect within 24 to 72 hours after that committee an approval. We are working very closely in the US with Operation Warp Speed, General Perna, who is working to make sure that within 24 hours after approval, products will be out the door and that vaccination can start so we can help protect as many Americans as we can. We have said that we are still on track to deliver up to 20 million doses in the US before the end of the year.
Stephane, how do you imagine it actually working? What does it look like when this starts to get rolled out, when people start to come forward and say they want the vaccine or are being offered the vaccine?
So I think it's going to be like a typical kind of flu vaccination, just at a scale that has never happened in the world in terms of the number of people to be vaccinated at the same time. But basically, I mean, it's like a regular shot. You go, into a private room, you show your arm to a nurse or a doc. They put a little, piece of anti-infectant to clean your arm. They inject the product. They put a Band-Aid, and then next one, you need to get your boost 30 days after. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of system being developed by the government to be able to track which vaccine you got in your prime injection so that you get the same vaccination by the same manufacturer for your boost. But that's how it's going to look like. And so if you go back to the data, if you get our vaccine, what do we know now? You have 94% chance of having no disease if you get infected. If you get our vaccine and you get infected, 94% chance to get no disease. And in the small percent chance that you have to get disease, it will be mild disease. Because as we said, we got 0 severe disease. And this is why I think vaccination is going to be so important to stop this pandemic so that we can save lives and go back to normal.
Can you help us break down the data older than 65? Any sort of effects? What have you noticed in your testing?
So we have not yet disclosed. We will do that when the FDA meeting meets. The data is just primary top line because we literally got it yesterday. The team is QCing everything. If you look at it, around a third of the study was the elderly, above 65-year-old, 30% of 30,000 people. And so what we've said is, like in the previous interim analysis, the elderly data is very similar to other age group. People with diabetes or other comorbidity factor are also very high efficacy. So by the time we meet with the FDA on December 17 for the advisory board, we will have all the details, and most probably those will be put online by the FDA in a briefing book a few days before the advisory board, as it's usually done by the FDA.
Stephane, is there anybody that shouldn't get the vaccine?
So today, the study has only been done for people above the age of 18. So we are going to start very soon this year a study in teenagers. So the teenagers should not get vaccinated because there is no safety data or efficacy data available yet. We have some people with comorbidity, like people that are HIV positive, have been enrolled in the study so far. A group we have not studied yet, for example, is people with cancer. So we are also discussing with the NCI, the National Cancer Institute in the US, to start a study to test the vaccine in people who have cancer.
You mentioned looking for approval in the UK as well as Europe. If the AstraZeneca vaccine falls short, how quickly can you get approval there and distribute?
So in the UK or Europe, given we are sending them the same data package that we are sending today to the FDA, and given the good discussions we've had with those regulatory agencies in the last couple of months, where we provided to them the animal data, the phase 1, the phase 2, we provided to them all the manufacturing files. So I could anticipate actually that the UK or the Europe could actually approve a vaccine before the US. It's not impossible.
One of the big challenges that a lot of people in the industry talk about is convincing people to take the vaccine. What do you say to those people that may be concerned? What do you think the industry message, what is the Moderna message to the anti-vaxxers?
Yeah, so I think there are three groups of people. I think people that are ready to take a vaccine once approved by the governments around the world. I think there are people that are anti-vaxxer and have never believed in vaccination way before the pandemic. And I think there are people on the fences because they are surprised that the vaccines have been developed so fast. So to those people that are on the fence, what I'm telling you is we have not cut any corners. We have done a full phase 1, a full phase 2, and a full phase 3 with 30,000 people, which is a very large-scale vaccination study. We do not have long-term safety data because we only started the studies this year, obviously. But if you look at vaccination across any vaccine that has been approved, 99% of side effects happen in the first 6 weeks after vaccination, which is why the FDA, to be cautious, as they should be, has asked at least 8 weeks of data after the boost is given before companies are allowed to apply for emergency use. And so we passed that mark on the second half of November, where more than half of the participants got more than 8 weeks of data. So I think what will happen basically is people that are ready are going to get vaccination when the vaccines are approved. And people that are on the fence, I think in the next few months, when they're going to see that people who got the vaccine have no safety issue, they will decide to get vaccination because if you can, through this vaccination, prevent disease, this is how we're going to go back to a normal life.
You mentioned distribution. Now, the conversation we had just a couple weeks ago was about cold storage distribution. I want to change it a little bit now between actually getting a shot in my arm. You said how traditionally it would go, but literally how? I mean, is it like a long line around the block that goes for miles? Is it you make an appointment with your doctor and you go and you get it right then? Is it going to be rounding out sort of all the healthcare workers and vaccinating them first? What's the conversation you're currently having with the U.S. government?
So in the U.S., this will be taken care of by the CDC and the states. The company, either Moderna or other companies, have no say, and they should not have any say. I mean, we are not the public health provider. And so what I could anticipate is in some places, people will be able to take appointments. I could anticipate in some states, nurses and doctors will go to, for example, homes for the elderly to vaccinate them there. Of course, healthcare workers will be vaccinated in their hospital by their colleagues. And so I think it's really going to depend who you are, when do you get the vaccine, and in which state you are.
In terms of the follow-ups, you're going to need 2 jabs this time round. Am I ever going to need to get another one further down the road? We talked last time about the minks. We talked about potential changes that you could make relatively straightforwardly. How do you see the more medium-term process?
Yes, so I think, as you say, in the short term, people who are eligible and willing will get a prime, and 4 weeks after they get their boost. We will know in the new year. We are monitoring all that scientific data, but we do not know yet 2 things. First is how long is the vaccine going to work? We don't know it for any of the vaccines that are being studied because it takes time. You have to follow the cases in the studies to know for sure. It is possible that in the fall of 21, a year from now, potentially elderly people might need to get a boost. It's possible that you might not need it for somebody young who is in good health. It will really depend, and we will learn that and, of course, share that and publish that data, so that clinicians around the world and health authorities are aware. The other big question we're going to know, I think, in a couple of months in the new year is, do we prevent infection with those vaccines? Meaning, if you get vaccinated What we know today is you have very small chances of getting disease, sick, and very small chances, actually no vaccine, zero, to get severe disease that will lead you to get hospitalized, which, as you can understand, has been a big issue for the healthcare system, but also for the psyche of people, which is why people have been worried about their own health. And so if you think about the economy going back into what we used to see with people traveling, hugging friends and families, I think once you have enough people vaccinated, you can go back to this world. What we don't know yet is our vaccine or any other vaccine, will they prevent me, if I got vaccinated, to, if I get infected by the virus, to give it to somebody else? This we don't know yet, but we will know in the new year.